All right, folks, welcome back to DragonWorks once again. 1997 Honda TRX300EX Sport Tracks. Some of you may recognize this thing. I revived it about a year or so ago, or a little under a year, whatever it was, about a year. Let's just call it a year. What's a couple months among friends, right? Anyway, really good repeat customer. He brought me like 5 or 6 different things last year. Brought his Harley in, his boss's Indian Chief. You guys remember that? With that big S&S motor in it. I had this golf cart, a couple little four-wheelers, and I did this one. Really good customer. This is something that I normally would not get myself into because this thing was just a mess. But he's such a good customer. How could I deny him, right? When I got this thing done, we didn't have real high hopes for it, but we were crossing our fingers because this poor thing has been abused and tampered with by inexperienced mechanics for years. All kinds of mix-match parts. It's got a big bore kit in it, a hot cam. They juiced it up pretty good, and lo and behold, when I got this thing running, it actually ran really good. Lots of power, sounds good, and I was just ripping it up with this thing. So anyway, they had it for about a year. They're saying they didn't get to, that's not that they didn't get to, but they didn't ride it a whole lot. The son's just really learning the clutch on the thing and trying to get used to it. And I know he said him and some other people have been riding it and what have you, but recently they were riding it and it shut off and they couldn't get it started. So they started throwing parts at it, buying new coil and spark plugs and all that kind of stuff, and couldn't figure it out. So they brought it back to me, and lo and behold, it barely had any compression. So I was a little worried about that to begin with because, we just basically just fixed what we could to get this thing running. We didn't rebuild the motor or anything like that, and I just wasn't really sure how good the workmanship or the parts were. But like I say, it did run good when it left. So anyway, first thing I did was what I always do. You can probably guess it. Yep, you're right. I did a compression test, and it came up extremely low. So then I did a leak down test and found out that the air, when it was on top dead center, was just spewing out of the intake. So I thought we had a valve problem, maybe burned a valve or something like that happened. But what I did find out was, after a little more diagnostics, is that it actually skipped time. The timing chain got cam chain, timing chain, everybody calls it something different, got so loose that it actually skipped time. And normally when that happens, it will destroy valves, pistons, and cylinders. Somehow they got super, super lucky on this one because it skipped time and it shut off and didn't do any damage. So I was able to get a new chain, pull my side cover off. I pulled the head cover off there. And I fished in a new cam chain while I was in there, went ahead and put a new clutch kit in, the fibers, the metal discs, and some high pressure springs and all that kind of stuff. So did that, and everything seems to be good. I've already fired it up to test it and what have you, so I'm gonna start it up for you guys. And it's kind of raining out. Let's see, I don't want to get it really hogged up or anything, but we'll try to get a little test ride in. I got to test that clutch and everything. So, without further ado, let's crank it up. Okay, guys, there you have it. She is alive once again. Back up and running. Amazingly. I didn't have high hopes for this thing when it first came in, but I tell you, typical Honda. It just wants to run and run. This poor motor, it's been torn apart and rebuilt so many times. It's got mixed match parts, big bore kit in it, hot cam. I mean, all this kind of stuff. I'm telling you, this poor thing has been through it, but it does run good. Thing's got a hell of a lot of power. You guys saw that last video. Right now, I'm just kind of warming it little by little, looking for leaks and all that stuff. I'm going to have to make sure the thing actually runs and rides properly here. It's been pouring down raining. I don't really care about getting wet, but the thing's kind of cleaned up a little bit, and I didn't want to get it too hogged up. But anyway, we're going to see about getting a little test ride in, and then we'll see what the weather does or how long it's going to be here, if I can get a better ride or not. But I did put a clutch in it. Well, I put some, yeah, actually I put a clutch kit in it. It's got new fibers, new steels, and some heavy duty springs. The clutch that was in it before wasn't very good, but the son was just really learning to ride it with the clutch and everything. So we thought, well, that's perfect. Let's just go ahead and finish that one off and then put a new one in. So it just worked out. So I got to check this thing out and see how that's working out and do a little bit of riding. But yep, there we have it. Once again, back to life. All right, guys, let's see if we can get a little test ride. Okay, guys. Hey, it's actually running really good. It hasn't ran in a while, so it's a little grumpy, and it's also still cold. I haven't really warmed it up a whole lot, but running really good otherwise, and that clutch is working great. I think it's going to make it a lot easier on the son to learn how to ride the thing with this better clutch. As you see, it's just pouring down raining, and I'm not getting my camera out there in the rain, so I just had it inside the door here, and I gave you a little shot, show that it does run and ride and what it sounds like. Sounds much better in person. This thing has one hell of a bark to it. That big bore kit really barks, man, I'm telling you. But anyway, that's it. You see I'm starting to get my shop a little hogged up here from running in now the mud. And we're going to call it a wrap for now. If, like I say, if weather works out, I'll get some better riding, but in the meantime, I'll throw in a little bit of footage from my ride last year. Thanks once again for following along, and share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace out.